If you have a nice lawn, it's inevitable that somebody's going to drive through it, or you're going to have to dig it up for some reason. Once you come down from that rage, you're going to want to fix it. Let me show you how. We're going to break this up into 5 steps. Even it out, fill it in, prep for seeding, seed, and then water. Now you could just throw soil over this, then seed, and call it a day. But when somebody drives over your lawn, it compacts the soil. And if you did just put soil and seed on top of it, then once your grass's roots grow down deep enough, it's going to struggle with that compacted soil layer. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a shovel and just dig out another inch or 2, get rid of that compacted soil, and also smooth out any ruts that might have been made, little ridges from the car tires that kind of pushed wide, especially if the soil was wet. This might seem like overkill to you, but I promise, since we're going to go through all this work, it just takes a few minutes to do this step anyway. Okay, now once we've cleaned up the wound, we need to fill it in with topsoil. Now, this isn't complicated, but there is a trick to this. My soil is very dense. It's clay. This topsoil that I got from Lowe's is extremely light and airy. There's nothing to it. We just dump this topsoil into this hole. It's going to settle over time, and we're going to be doing this again 6 months later. So here's the trick to try to mitigate that as much as possible. What I want you to do is fill this in, but then every so often I want you to wet it down a little bit and compact it with either your hand or stepping on it. Now I know I just said compacted soil is the problem, but there's nothing to this. There's no structure. We're going to compact this down as much as we can, and I promise it's going to be the best soil in your yard after we're done. Our next step is to prep for seeding. Now a common request I get from homeowners is to repair the dead areas underneath trampolines when they get rid of them. And the key to making sure that that goes well is to not just seed the dead area, but to seed past that. That's going to help that seed blend in. Now, new grass is always going to come up and it's going to be bright green. It's going to be much lighter colored than your existing lawn, and that will fade to like a darker, nice blue-green over time if you take care of it. But in order to make sure that that grass blends well, I want you to seed more than just this area. I want you to go to like a normal angle, like a natural angle in your lawn, or maybe just to the end of a section if you live in a neighborhood where you can go up to a sidewalk or something like that. Don't just seed the damaged area, do a broader area. Now at this point, you could just leave it like this. It looks so much better than what we had before, and it also might not be a good time for you to grow grass in your region. For example, I live in Maryland, in the middle of the transition zone. If I had a customer come up and tell me, hey, I want you to repair this rut I have in my yard in July, I would tell them this is a good stopping point. Let's keep it here, let's keep treating it, keep it free of weeds, but we're going to wait to seed it in the fall because that new grass just isn't going to make it through the rest of the summer. It's too hot. So keep that in mind if you're starting a project like this. Now in the video linked in the corner, I go step by step on how to overseed and repair your lawn. But the highlights are this. We're going to mow low and we're going to bag our clippings. Then we're going to take a rake and we're going to rake our lawn and we're going to loosen up a little bit of that soil and also remove any debris that might interfere with our seed making seed to soil contact, because we're not going to get grass if our seed is not in contact with the soil. If you can't get the same grass, then at least use the same species of grass. A lot of those easy seed patch mixes that you're going to find in the stores are made up of grasses that are known to germinate quickly but might not blend very well in your lawn. Things like annual rye, perennial rye, very quick growing in grasses but might not blend in very well. If you have no idea what you're doing, get yourself a sun and shade mix that'll blend in with most lawns, and a fescue mix is going to work for most lawns as well. And if you disagree, then you probably know exactly what type of grass you have, and you probably know enough to not have to watch this video. Don't be that guy. Backyard's 100% perennial rye, so I'm going to seed perennial rye. Now, is this blue tag seed? No. Is it just seed and not any coatings? No, it's coated, but this was the closest thing to my house, and I have things to do. When I recommend you overseed your yard though, I recommend you use a seed that you can get next year in case you have to do something like this, so the blending is even easier. Now I'm going to go heavier in this bare area, and then I'm going to go lighter in the surrounding areas. What does that look like? Well, for bare areas for perennial rye, they usually recommend around 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet, but honestly, you're just looking for about 7 or 8 seeds per inch, maybe a little bit more. And then in the areas where you already have decent turf, you can go lighter if you're trying to stretch a product. So that's what this looks like. And then I'm going to use the rest of this 5-pound bag. I say 5 pounds because the bag is 10 pounds, but 5 of it is coating. I don't know how in the world we're supposed to cover up to 3,500 square feet with 5 pounds of seed, but that's for another video. So just do the best you can, but go heavier in the areas that you definitely need it, and you can go lighter as you blend that area in to the rest of your lawn. The most important part of this process now is to work this seed in, and I tell everybody to take the back of a rake. So take this side of the rake, and I want you to rake everywhere that you just seeded. And what that's going to do is going to knock the seed down out of the canopy if it got hung up in the grass, and it's going to get down into that soil, and it's also going to cover the seed slightly as well, and that's going to give us the best seed to soil contact possible before we start watering. You've come this far, you might as well go a little bit farther to ensure good results. Lastly, watering. Not watering enough is the #1 reason why seeding projects usually fail. You can't just water once a day. You have to water multiple times a day. This is my watering setup for this project. I've got my sprinkler with a little sprinkler attachment up here. I've got hose and then my timer. I love this timer. If you go and buy a sprinkler timer, normally they lock you into watering every 4 hours or 6 hours, 8 hours a day, whatever it is. I really like this one because you can actually program which time you want it to go off. So for this project, I'm going to water at 5 in the morning, 9 in the morning, noon, and then 3 o'clock. And it's probably going to be around 12 or 15 minutes a cycle. For this whole area here, I'm only going to be using this one sprinkler. Now, if you have in-ground sprinklers, #1, you probably have a guy for this. But #2, you probably only need to water for about 3 or 4 minutes at a time because you're gonna have much better coverage. It's okay to have to tweak how the sprinkler runs. Totally fine. You're going to have to dial in. Our goal is to keep the soil wet without puddles and without making footprints if we have to go move our sprinkler for whatever reason. I'm going to use that watering schedule, 5, 9, 12, and 3, until this seed is about 1 inch tall. Then I'm going to back that off to about 3 times a day, and then back it off to 2, and then once, and then every other day, and then I'm going to back it off into my normal watering schedule, or that just normal precipitation can support. So here's our final result about 3.5 weeks later. I'm going to tell you what I did up until this point and then what I could have done better to make this even better overall. Like I told you before, I watered on my 4 times a day schedule until I saw germination, and I started backing that down to 3 times a day and then 2 times a day, and then eventually getting back to my normal watering schedule. Now, we went through a pretty serious lack of rain in the past few weeks, so germination definitely could have been better. I also had some birds and squirrels out here digging in here and getting some of this loose seed. So it's definitely the reason why we don't have a flawless germination and coverage through this rut. But that's not a big deal. I'm more concerned with the structure of the ground underneath rather than the grass growing up. I can always overseed this again, and I'm really happy that it hasn't settled at all, especially through several mowings, because I have been keeping up with the mowing. I definitely got better germination in the tracks that I made with my lawnmower, pushing the seed down into the soil, and that prevented some of these animals from eating the seed. So if I wanted to do this again, I think I would have made sure to really stamp down that seed with my foot, and then made sure that it was covered better than I left it. 2 weeks after germination and I started mowing, I put down one final application, just a light liquid fertilizer, about half the rate that it would normally call for on the bottle, and then I just kept mowing it, and then this is going to be my final result here. So again, it's all about the prep work. It's all about making sure that the dirt is going to be as structurally sound as possible so that it doesn't cave in and then you're left doing this project again. So I hope my sacrifice of digging up my lawn for you is worth it. I hope now you have the tools and the knowledge to fix this once you inevitably have a rut in your lawn as well. Thanks for watching. My name is JJ, and this has been the Lawn Lab.